Okay, good day, everyone. I am Jeff, and Jeff of All Trades podcast. I have a very special guest today. I got the privilege of meeting him a couple months ago, and we're going to be going over what he has done and accomplished in that couple months going to EXP, the same as I have. Today's show is about for sale by owners, FSBOs, and expireds. Let me introduce our guest today is Don Sprenkel. Don Sprenkel. Good day, sir. How are you? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm real good. Thanks for having me on here. I'm excited to be on here. When you asked me about it, I was like, absolutely. I'd jump right on that, man. A chance to, get on here and talk with you. Because I know you've been, in a few years yourself. So you got a few years on, man. I know you've learned a lot of good things along the way, too. So, yeah, I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you for that compliment. Give us a little bit of background about yourself. You just got into real estate. Tell us how long you've been in real estate and what did you do before real estate?
Yeah, so I got my license in January. I took the test. I got my license. And prior to that, and still currently, I've been a firefighter paramedic for about 10 years. That's been awesome. Love that job. But I wanted something, outside of the fire department, outside of the medical field. Firefighting is a young man's game. The longer I'm in that, the more I see that. So I was just looking for something outside of the medical field, but something where I could still work with people and still help people, okay, be an advocate for people. And so I got into real estate, and it's been good. I got into my primary business focus is working with for sale by owners and expired listings. So I'm on the phones in the mornings. I'm calling for sale by owners. I'm calling expired listings, people that have previously been on the market and struggled to sell, and trying to get their business. I'm essentially cold calling them. So it's a unique dynamic that not every realtor, from what I've found out, is up to making those types of phone calls. But that's all I've known since I've gotten into it, and it's worked pretty well for me.
Nice, good answer. Let's dive a little bit into that and go a little bit backwards. So you are a firefighter paramedic, saving lives, and you still do that, correct? You're still
Yep.
You're still working. And you said it was a young man's game. How young do you need to be? Like 16 or 17? What's a young? You're not
Well,
that old.
typically,
like
you can get a
20.
firefighter job, 18 years old, right out of high school. And that's a career that you might be in it for 25, 30 years. And so I got into it about 25, and then I switched departments about 5 years in with a new department. So then without getting into too much detail, my retirement and everything had to start over, which was okay because the department I went to was a little bit, making a little bit better money and everything. So it was a good opportunity for my family and myself and everything. But, looking at that, 30 years old and then having to think about the next 25 years potentially of being in that job still. Like, I love that job, but it takes a toll on your body, physically and mentally, getting up, 2, 3 in the morning, multiple times during the night, things like that. So I wanted something else in case one day for some reason I couldn't be a firefighter anymore. Well, then at least I had something else that I could fall back onto,
Yeah, you real estate, you normally don't have to get up at 2 or 3 in the morning. Hopefully, you don't have a crazy buyer or seller saying, "Hey." But I've had those. I've had those. So a young man's game is being young enough to be there for 20 to 30 years, and your body taking it. I never thought about the effects of the sleep. I know a lot of firefighters work 2 jobs, but I always wondered if y'all sleep. Do y'all sleep when you're on call, or are you up for 24 hours?
Well, the schedule is very conducive for most of us to have another job. Every firefighter I know either has another job or they just work a lot of overtime. And as far as sleep goes, we do have beds and everything that we have bedrooms. We can go to sleep at night. But like anything, you can go to bed at night. But if you get a call, well, then you got to get up and, run the call. So you hope that when you get back, you can go to sleep. But it's not always that easy. So, our circadian rhythms are all kinds of sorts of jacked up, when you're talking about firefighters, just because our sleep schedule is so erratic.
I think that's a huge thought to think about getting into firefighting. Awesome. And I know when I met you, you were talking about that, and that's what helped you make your decision in what you're doing. A lot of people, and again, Jeff of All Trades, today's show, Jeff of All Trades podcast, live Facebook show. Today's episode is about FSBOs and expireds, and we're going to dig a little bit into why Don started that and why a lot of people start that. And a lot of real estate agents, I think Todd might have been the only one, but they have another job, and then they start real estate as a part-time job and grow it into a full-time job. It's very rare that you're going to find someone that can transition into $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 a month within 30 days, that you're going to start making your paycheck, that big within 30 days. So you mentioned about a lot of agents not doing that. So we'll start there. And we'll start what led you to do for FSBOs and for sale by owners. You said, I have limited time because I have another job. I have limited time. So what can I do? What one task can I do that I can have control over the most? And you decided FSBOs and for sale by owners, correct?
Yeah. And I wish I could say that was completely an idea that I came up with on my own. Like, I want to work with FSBOs. Oh, sorry, just messed up my chair. But I want to work with for sale by owners and expired listings. Like, I did not come up with that on my own. I'm smart. I'm not that smart. Fortunately for me, I had a good friend of mine. He was actually a roommate of mine in college, and he went to school and got a business degree. And so he's been in business for the last 15 years, and he actually got into real estate the last couple years. And it was just by chance. It was the day I got my license. I took my test. I got my license. I happened to see a post from him on social media about a house he had up for sale or just sold or something. So I'm like, wow, I didn't even realize he was doing real estate now. So I hit him up, and we ended up having a 2-3 hour conversation about calling for sale by owners, calling expired listings, and the ability to working with them and the ability to still keep control of your time and your schedule. And for me, that was important because I knew this was something I wanted to do, but I would have to dedicate the time to it, but still take care of my other responsibilities. And working with sellers in general sometimes gives you a little bit more freedom over your time, from what I've found, at least in my limited experience. Because my daily schedule, if I'm not at the fire department, usually revolves around making my phone calls in the morning and then going on appointments in the afternoon. And, once you put a home up, once you take a listing and put a home up on the market, you have daily or, weekly conferences with your sellers. You might have to do some showings here and there. But for the most part, you still have control of your time. When you're working with buyers, a lot of times, and I've worked with a couple so far, but you can find yourself sometimes taking a lot of time to drive them to different houses, show them different houses, and that's fine. That's great. I'm anybody that comes to me with help wanting to buy a house, I would love to help them buy a house for sure. But my primary lead generation, the business that I go after, is the sellers and the for sale by owners and the expired listings, because it allows me to control my schedule a little bit better.
Nice. And with the buyers, it's just not taking them. There's a lot of time spent to get them to take them to the, before you go show any house, you have to find the house. And what makes a good buyer agent, sorry, I'm like moving stuff around as I'm talking. What makes a good buyer agent is not wasting their time, and more importantly, your time. And and as you get better at, as people get better at being a buyer's agent, you should be able to nail down the house that they want without seeing. You don't need to go see 10 houses after your first appointment. And we can talk a little bit about that at another time. But let's get back. Yeah, you're right. So the main point about that is you have more control of your time. Now, and your commitment. I'm a full-time real estate agent. I do this 7 days a week. So I have a little bit more flexibility and my time. One thing I liked right off the bat is not a lot of people can hold the schedule. You said you made calls in the morning and set appointments in the evening. It's not where you just make calls and you get an appointment. It takes a lot of calls, and it takes a lot of good practice. And we'll back up. I forgot to say this. Don is on Team Homes. What is it called? Homes by Team Shaw. Say
Homes by Team Schroth. Yeah, with Todd Schroth.
mine is Osborne Homes. Easy. Todd, he loves.
Everybody knows him. Just nobody can say his last name right.
No, here they say it. They just say Todd. Homes by Todd. Homes Homes by Todd.
Yeah.
We are in Altamont. Come see us. We have an amazing office, amazing staff. That's why people hire us. But let's talk a little bit about how you're benefiting FSBOs. What is the percentage of FSBOs that hire an agent? And yes, you're getting listings, but you're helping people move their property and you're educating them. And talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I cold call people, all right, and cold calling is not something that everybody enjoys. I know that, as a consumer, you get a phone call from a number you don't know. Sometimes you don't even answer that number, and then when you answer, somebody trying to, sell you something, or your immediate reaction sometimes is just to say no without even hearing what they're even trying to sell you. They might even want to give you $1 million. Your immediate reaction is going to be no. That's just a human natural instinct, but calling them it's something that, so 5% of all homes nationwide go for sale by owner. All right. So if you're talking like last year, that's over 5 million homes that sold. That's 267,000 people that were actually successful, or that were homes for sale by owner. But about half of those actually were the people that they already knew. So that's a pretty big number of people that still need help, getting their home sold. And so the big thing is just calling them and trying to come from a spirit of contribution and value. You're there not to try to sell them something, but to try to help them. All right. And, you're going to call a lot of people. I call probably 200 to 300 people a day, or dial 200 to 300 phone numbers a day. And, some of those people immediately they'll hang up on you. They don't want to talk to you. Or maybe they are, they're working with another realtor they already know, or things like that. But, the goal is to percentage of sellers out there that do need that help, that are looking for that help. And, hopefully you can come in and be that person for them. And, it works out for them. They get their home sold. It works out for you. We're there to make a living at the end of the day, too. So, it's all about trying to help them get that home sold for whatever reason they're looking for.
Good answer. So you're bringing value. You're not trying to sell them something. You're trying to solve a problem. Would you say? Like you're
Correct.
Not sell them something.
Yeah.
You're trying to help them solve a problem. Now, what are the two, since you make so many calls, and I can vouch because I see you in there every day making calls. And that's the secret to the realtors. This show is for everybody, buyer, seller, realtor, consumer. That's the secret to this. You cannot, and we're going to talk about his stats, jump a little forward. We're going to talk about what he's done in 60 days, and this is why I have him on the show. But you've got to do this every single day, and Don does. I don't know how he does it because he works like another job, so he really doesn't sleep. He doesn't sleep at all. I don't know how many days he's gone out without sleep. He has a family, he has a wife, he has a beautiful family, he has a little daughter. But what are the two biggest concerns or rejections that you hear people say why they're doing it and why they didn't go the traditional route with an agent? What are the two biggest things that you hear over and over on why they're doing this themselves?
Well, the biggest thing, number one, is going to be they're trying to save money, which makes sense when you think about it on the surface, because typically, the average commission is around 6% for a real estate agent, and that 6% is split between a selling agent and a buying agent. So in their mind, they're going to save, 3%, and depending on the price point of their home, I mean, you're talking anywhere from $6,000 to $20,000, or more, depending on the price of their home. So in their mind, that's extra money they're going to save. What sometimes they don't realize, though, is that like in our market, on average, the average for sale by owner, even if they're successful, is typically going to sell for 85 cents on the dollar. And the reason for that is because they typically are going to be on the market longer than if they were with an agent. And there's a few different reasons for that as well. They're limited in their resources in marketing. They're limited in their know-how on marketing. And it's sometimes hard to, get buyer agents to come in and, do real estate deals with for sale by owners who more times than not, don't have a ton of experience in selling homes. So that sometimes in a buyer's agent's mind increases the workload for them, even if it's just a mental thing, even if that for sale by owner is a very capable person and has sold homes before. The trick is to even get the people in the door to even know that. So, there's limitations there. So that 3%, sometimes it seems like they're going to save money, but when you really do the math and sit down, they really typically don't save that money, and sometimes even it costs them more money because they sell for less and they're on the market longer. The other reason some people choose to go for sale by owner is a bad experience with a previous realtor. And that can be a tough one to overcome sometimes because, you get one bad realtor and then it just ruins it for everybody else. So trying to convince them that, not every realtor is created equally and that, some actually do this on a day-to-day basis and take it seriously and, and are coming from that spirit of contribution and value. So those are probably the two biggest things for sure.
That's exactly what I had in mind, and that's exactly what you said. Money, trust. Money, trust.
Yeah.
People have given us a bad name, us good guys, a bad name, and that's hard to overcome. The first one's money. Now, when you say 3%, how many of those I know what you're talking about, and you're talking about the listing side. You're just talking about the listing side. That's not for buyer and seller, or
right.
Side and seller side. So when Don says 3%, he's just talking about if there was 6%, 3% is the listing side, 3% is the buyer side agent. How many of those for sale by owners are even paying a buyer agent commission? And I think that's why a lot of buyer agents are hesitant because they know it's going to be an uphill battle. But how many of those actually know about the buyer agent commission?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, it's funny because like one of the first questions I call people when I call for sale by owner is I ask them if they're even offering a buyer's commission. And I do that for a couple of reasons. The first reason is if we actually have a buyer that, is interested in their house, we want to know if there's a commission for the buyer, an incentive, because like I said, at the end of the day, we want to do what's best for our client, but we also have to make a living too. So, so I want to see if they're even offering a commission to a buyer's agent, because if they're not offering a commission to a buyer's agent, well then if I want to list their home, that's going to make my job that much harder. If I have to convince them to pay a buyer's agent, then I have to convince them to pay a listing agent. That makes it even that much harder, and that makes it that much harder for them too, because it's already hard enough to get, buyers and buyer agents to come to your door. Because a lot of times they think they have to negotiate the commission. But if you're going to tell them that you're not offering a commission at all, if I have two houses side by side for the exact same price and my buyer loves both of these houses equally, one's offering a buyer's commission, one is offering no commission. As an agent, most agents would probably be more inclined to, they would prefer that their buyers buy the house that's going to get them paid also. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And to give you an example, I just went on a showing last weekend, and it was a listing. They had a listing, a beautiful house, and this wasn't something I saw in the MLS ahead of time, and the buyer was very excited about it. But when I looked in the MLS, and this is what the seller and the buyer, they had it at like 4%, which is 2% lower. Now, we looked at 3 to 5 houses that day. They were all giving more, 5 or 6%. So you split that, so it's 2.5 or 3. And just on an inside, if the buyer thinks hurting the broker commission is going to save them money, then how hard is it going to be to negotiate them to a price that fits their payment budget? That's the biggest thing with the buyer. You have to get a payment. You have to get the house in the amount in the price that fits their payment, and hers was lower than the listing, so it would have had to come down. And it was, long story short, looking at it from a realtor side, that's going to take it a tremendous amount of work. So if I'm the one talking to her about which house is the best one to get, that might not fall in that top 10 category, because one, I know they're already not willing to negotiate because they're cutting the broker commission on both sides. And then two, there was a couple other factors, but the bottom line is we tried it, and I put myself in the back seat, but we tried, and that was just a sign that I kind of saw But you're absolutely right. If a lot of for sale by owners, they don't want to pay any money, and those are the people that either have done this before and maybe they've succeeded, or they watch a lot of TV and they hear a lot of stories. What do you think is the number one reason? And I'm going to answer this too after you're done. What do you think is the number one reason why the success rate is only 5%? And that's not me and Don tracking this. That's the National Association of Realtors. That's who we pay our membership fee. Those are the people that keep track of this. They're the police, they're the judge, they're the jury, they're the executioner. What do you think is the number one reason why a for sale by owner cannot successfully close the deal with the buyer without any agent?
Well, I think the number one reason, the first reason is going to be just getting the people, the traffic through your home, right? Getting those buyers. Most people that are a buyer's agent costs a buyer nothing, okay? Because a buyer's agent, like you, as you know, I know, is making their money off the commission that's split with the selling, the listing agent. So a buyer's agent costs that buyer nothing. So almost any buyer is working with an agent. So the hardest thing is to get those buyer agents to, show those houses or even know about those houses, because most agents are working off of the MLS. So what they're going to be sending their clients is coming off the MLS, and most for sale by owners are not paying that fee to be on the MLS because they are trying to save money. So right there, that's immediately going to hurt your chances of people seeing your house, and realtors, pushing people to see your house and show your house. So a lot of people go to Zillow, but what they find out there is they get a lot of realtor phone calls as well, because Zillow, they make their money off of buyer leads. So, and all the agents, our office pays to be on Zillow as well,
Me too.
To get those buyer leads. When people contact, they want to see more info on a listing, so they click for more info, and automatically it brings up 3 real estate agents in the area for you to contact to get that info for you. So it's designed. The game is not really designed for sale by owners. It can absolutely be done, but the hard part is getting people in the door. I think is why the number is so low and where it's at. And this is a number that if you went back, I think when I was looking at it 10, 15 years ago, the percentage was actually a little bit higher. It was actually around 8 or 9% for sale by owners out of the total number of home sales nationwide. But the number has actually gone down as we've progressed over the years. And you would think with the internet and everything that it would make it that much easier to sell. And the internet has made everything easier to sell. But like you said, these numbers come from, the National Association of Realtors. So, I didn't make these numbers up. So the stats have actually gone down in an unfavorable direction for sale by owners. And I think the hard part is just getting people in the door.
Good answer. My answer is completely opposite. I think that's a good answer. But let's say you do get people in the door. I think the number one reason what keeps us in business, this is why people need to hire us. And I think this is why you will hire an attorney to go to court. This is why you would go to a doctor to get a surgery. This is why you would hire a roofing company to put shingles on your roof, is you want someone that you can trust to get the job done. And what I mean by that is I've heard a lot of nightmares, and I've been in a lot of for sale by owner transactions where I'm the only agent, and I have to build that trust just to get the seller who I'm not even working for, but yet I am representing him in his best interest. But I am whatever the word is, I am committed to the buyer because I started with them first. That guy doesn't trust me. He doesn't trust the buyer. He doesn't trust the mailman. He doesn't even probably trust his wife. And trying to get them to realize that you're not trying to take advantage of them, you're not trying to mislead them or mainly steal their money, that's so difficult. So imagine with us doing this every day, knowing what to do, the paperwork, the title company, and I'm not talking about asking people to do things that they're not supposed to do. I'm asking them just to do the things that we need to do to get the closing, and they don't trust you. Well, why do we need a title company? Why do I got to pay the title fee? Why do I got to pay the owner's policy? Why do I got to pay the dog stamps? Why do I got? Well, this is what you do if you're a seller. Well, I don't want to do that. You're ripping me off. Well, no, I'm trying to close this deal. So it's trust. And I've been in a situation where we were 7 days from closing, and that for sale by owner changed the price by 10 grand. He said, Don, I went to bed last night. I had a dream that I can get 7 grand from your client. I wanted to go back there and tell him 7 or no deal. And I thought he was joking, and he wasn't. So the point of the matter is there's no recourse for them. No one's policing them.
Right.
They can do what they want to do and get away with it because they're not a realtor. They're not upheld to any standards. And that's the dangerous aspect of it. And I'm not saying every seller is bad, but the long story short about that, we got him from 7 to 2 grand, but he got 2 grand out of us that we shouldn't. And even if we took him to court, no judge is going to kick a seller out of their house. I've been in that situation. They're not going to do it,
You bring up a really good point because with that, and two points actually. Comparing us to like doctors and lawyers and things like that. People that specialize in certain things. And one of the things that I've tried to keep in mind with clients, especially these people that I'm calling them, they don't know me, they hire me, so they've obviously got some sort of trust in me now. But just because they've hired me to do a job, they have some trust in me. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're best friends now. All right. Like I like my doctor. If I have a lawyer, I like my lawyer. I like my accountant, but we're not going and hanging out and, seeing what each other is up to on Facebook. So I want to be friendly. I want to be professional, but I'm not expecting, you to think that I'm your new best friend. You know what I mean? You hired me to do a job, and that's what the important thing is that I'm capable of getting that job done. And hopefully you do like me because I do a good job when it's all said and done. But I think the other thing too that you brought up that really drives home the whole thing that I'm doing with, reaching out to these types of clients is they have to be open to a certain line of communication. There's some people that you just never are going to reach. They're just going to, starting just from the phone calls, they're going to hang up on you right from the beginning. They don't want to hear anything you have to say. So you have to reach people. You have to be working with people that are at least open to conversation, and they have the ability to see things not just from their point of view or how they think it should be. And that goes from the time you make a phone call to, contacting a for sale by owner and expired listing to, on your side, dealing with them as a buyer agent and dealing with them in a transaction. Unfortunately, you just have to hopefully get people that are open to those lines of communication.
Good call. We're going to do a little technical stuff. We're running out of time. So the next thing I want to talk about is your stats. We're with eXp Realty. If anybody's interested in eXp Realty, please come by. Todd, say the logo again, Homes by Team Straw. Homes by Team Straw. Todd, I apologize. Please don't kill me for office. But come by, look at the office. It's an amazing office. We have a big screen TV. We do football games. We do whatever you want to do there. It's a beautiful office. It's right in Altamont Springs. And me and Don are in that office, and Todd Shaw is the rep of the office. We have a question from Aaron. Oh, okay. FSBOs or wholesaler? Thank you for asking. FSBOs, aka wholesaler. Well, FSBOs, what we're talking about is just directly to FSBOs. Wholesalers is where they already got the property. So it's a little bit harder to call wholesalers, but FSBOs are not wholesalers. They wouldn't be doing what a FSBO would be doing. But going back, good question. Let me know if you have another one, Aaron. Thank you, sir. Good to see you too. We need to catch up. Don, let's get a little bit technical so people can get some gold nuggets. When you talk to these people and you get them on a phone call and you're making interaction, whether you set an appointment or don't set an appointment, what do? And then I know you do video. Talk about the video that you do. And then I know when you go to the appointment that you have a breakdown that you do. So if you can kind of walk us through those 3 things, I know that would add a lot of value to some agents.
Yeah, definitely. And just touching on what you talked about with Todd really quick. I joined up with him 2 months ago, and it has been tremendous. And not only the resources, the experience that I have around me and the support that I have around me, but just the my resources and the things that I'm able to offer to clients has just expanded exponentially, and it's been huge. It's really been instrumental in my success over the last couple months. So what I'm going to do is I want to call people. Prime time for me is during the week, 8 to 10 in the morning or 4 to 6 in the evening. Sunday evenings are also a great time to reach people. And when I'm calling somebody, I'm not trying to call them to convince them that they need to hire me and list their home. They just met me. They don't know me yet. I'm trying to build that trust. I just want to have an appointment. I just want to see if they're open to me coming out to the house, seeing the home, and discussing with them their options moving forward. And I don't do anything. I don't tell them that I have a buyer when I don't have a buyer. I'm not going to be dishonest like that.
But there's a good chance
and that's the question you get a lot.
What's that? There's a good chance that you might have a buyer.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the thing. We're in an office we're in Homes by Team Straw, and there's like 5 or 6 of us or more that are not even in the office. And there's a big group of buyers that we're working with. So that's the benefit of being where we're at is, hey, there's a good chance that we might even have a buyer that could get the job done that week. It's
definitely, yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things I'll tell them is say, look, I don't know if I have a buyer for your home right now, but I work with a ton of with buyer agents that work with a lot of buyers and sellers in your area. So I'm just trying to get some more information about your home so I can speak on it intelligently to any possible buyers that we do have. So I'm going to call them. I'm going to ask some questions just to gauge where their motivation is for selling, why they're selling, how long they've been trying to sell, if it was an expired listing, what their previous experience was with the previous realtor, and if it's a for sale by owner, if they have a goal in mind or a date in mind where if they're unsuccessful selling it on their own, if they're going to be considering working with an agent. So if I can set an appointment on the first call, fantastic. If I can't set an appointment, that's okay too. Because a huge thing is follow-up. One of the things that I've learned very quickly was that a lot of this is about follow-up. So you have to continuously stay in front of them. I'm not the only person that is calling these people. And that's one of the reasons why I try to be on the phone at 8 a.m. because if I'm on the phone at 8:05, 2 or 3 people have already probably called them. And that's something you have to keep in mind. And that's why you have to be consistent with your calling and very consistent with your follow-up, because if you're not consistent with your follow-up, somebody else is going to be. So you might be in front of them at first. Yeah, you might be in front of them at first, but you go a week without, staying in contact or keeping in touch. Well, there's another realtor or 2 other realtors that have been keeping in contact with them every other day or something like that, and that's where the whole, spirit of contribution and value comes for me, because if I'm going to, try to keep in touch with you for the next 30 days while you sell it on your own, well, me sending you an email every couple of days just saying, hey, you should hire me, that's not going to go anywhere, So if I'm going to stay in contact with them for the next 30 days, well, I'm going to try to do whatever I can to help them have a successful home sale, to help build that trust. Because at the end of the day, I just want them to be successful. That one home, that one sale, I'm not dependent on just that one home. So I feel like if you try to give that value, give that contribution of help and everything, good things are just going to come your way. And, if they do need that help after 20 days or 30 days or whatever, maybe during that time period, I've been able to show them that, hey, I am somebody that can be trusted, somebody that's looking out for their best interest and not just trying to get another listing. You know what I mean? So then if they do need that help, well, then hopefully I'm a consideration within that time, when it comes to that.
Great answer. We're going to dive a little bit more into that. And I'm just going to kind of answer the questions that I'm asking. When you call them, I hear you. You're trying to set an appointment, but you're really trying to help them represent the house. Are you sure you got the bedrooms right? I know that's a dumb question, but some people don't know that it has to have a closet. Maybe they have the bedroom as listed as a bedroom, but it doesn't have a closet. You actually break down and help them understand what they posted online.
Yeah.
you go in depth with that. And then number two is you have a book that you put together to help them sell their house. So what I'm trying to inform is you're not calling them saying, let me list your house. You're saying, look, I'm going to help you. For one, I might have a buyer, or we might be able to get this done without me even listing it. That's great if it happens. Two, I have a book that can put together some questions and answers for you. You give them the seller disclosure. There's a lot of techniques. There's a lot of helpful things that you're doing for them, building that relationship. So it's just not you asking for something. You're giving a great time.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I send them all sorts of things, free websites. I give them tips on how to improve their Zillow listing. Just a wealth of things. I break down the different contracts in case they do get an offer. Because at the end of the day, like I said, the goal is if they are unsuccessful selling it on their own, well, maybe they hire me and we get their house sold for them. But maybe they are successful selling their house, on their own, and good for them. But, maybe a month from now, 2 months from now, 6 months from now, a neighbor of theirs or a friend of theirs wants to sell their house and they don't want to do for sale by owner. Well, this guy who I was talking to for a month, 2 months while he was trying to sell his home, he said, hey, I do know a realtor. I didn't use him because I sold my home on my own, but he's awesome. He sounds fantastic. Give him a call. So, that's the other, flip side of that is maybe I don't get to, maybe they sell their home on their own, but maybe they refer me to somebody else because I show them that value that I'm trying to bring.
And that separates, that's what I was wanting you to get at. Good answer. That separates you and us from 90% of the agents out there that cannot see that can't see past a foot in front of them. You have to create value, and you have to create so much value for free where you're not asking for anything in return. There's no immediate return. So that's great. Yeah. And 8 times out of 10, you're going to be able to get the deal because you're coaching them. You're literally coaching them on how to do sale by owners, but you're showing them that this isn't some walk in the park process. Another thing that you do, and talk a little bit about this, and we're running out of time, but there's just so much good stuff that you do. What is BombBomb, and is it really a bomb? And how do you use
BombBomb is awesome. BombBomb is it allows you to put video, actually embed it into emails. And this was something I started using when I joined up with Todd and his team because they already had it, which was fantastic because I'd been looking at it and I wanted to start using it really bad. So when he told me he already had it, I was all over it. But it actually allows you to embed video into the email. No, you don't have to click on a link or anything like that. It's right there for people to see. And that is great because the video, just in today's world, everything is so video concentrated on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, everything. People are much more inclined to watch a 30-second video clip than they are to read a couple paragraphs. That's just where we're at as a society, it would seem like. So the video now, what I do with a lot of times is I'll send video emails to people with information, and I might type some information down there too, but the bulk of my emails a lot of times is just video talking to people. And what I've noticed is that I get a lot better interaction and correspondence from people with the videos because it kind of puts a name to a face too. That's what I really love about it because you're getting so many people calling you. We all sort of run together. All of our emails look the same, just from different brokerages. But when you put a face to that name, it kind of makes me more real to that person. I feel like, and I get a better response. Is what I've noticed over the last couple months.
Wow, that's awesome. That video is number one. Video is number one. You can come across and hit all of the senses that a person judges and makes decisions out of video. And to go a little bit in depth, what Don's doing, guys, is Don is using BombBomb. And the reason why BombBomb is so successful is because if I make a video of myself on my phone or my laptop, I have to download that video and then email it to somebody. It's too big. Not everybody's going to be able to download it. Or if I take a video on my phone, you're not going to be able to upload it if you have an Android and I have an iPhone. It's going to be crappy quality. So what BombBomb does is it makes it like a YouTube link. It's just a link. You click on it. it takes it to their server, which they don't even know that, and it plays it perfect condition. So that's the real secret. BombBomb is a video making software that allows you to send videos without downloading them. It's just a link. Second, Don is doing teaching. He has courses, and it's screen. He's sharing his screen on the video, and he's walking the for sale by owners step by step on how Zillow is set up for agents and not for sale by owners, what they can do to make it better for them to sell their house. He is doing step-by-step contract breakdown on an as-is contract, seller disclosure breakdown, addendums. So that's what I'm trying to get at is Don is taking the video aspect to a whole new level. So when you're talking to someone, Don, you can say, you know what, you have a question in that area? Okay, I made a video just for that, check it out. And that right there, they're going to come back to you.
That's been huge. Those instructional videos have been huge. I wish I could say that I was smart enough to think of it all on my own. But a lot of this, like anything, is just taking things from people that have been doing it longer than you, that have more experience than you, that are at a successful point in their career that you're trying to get to. So that's a lot of this stuff is just taking it from different areas from different people and trying to make it your own. And with the video, talking about, that personal touch on the videos, if you really want to get personal with them and really, do something to make yourself memorable with them, what I've been doing, $5 and, maybe $7 with the marker is a whiteboard. So when I do a BombBomb video, I'm going to show the whiteboard and I'll say, hey, I just talked to Jeff on the phone. I want to send him an email thanking him for the conversation. So I'm going to send a BombBomb. And in the beginning of the BombBomb, I'm going to have this with the whiteboard and everything. So they'll know that this video isn't just some generic video that I just made and that I send out to 100 people that I talk to every day. This video is specifically for them.
It's not some of your videos that you're teaching.
Some are, yeah. The instructional ones, yeah.
And what people might not have saw, hold it right up underneath your face. Don is holding a little whiteboard that says, thanks, Jeff. And so when they open the email, there's a thumbnail, which is the picture. And that thumbnail has him holding that whiteboard that says hi and their name. So they can see that he took the time out of his day to talk to them about their needs. It makes it more personal. And Don has inspired me to use my BombBomb because I've seen him use his BombBomb so much. So he's a BombBomb machine. Okay, we are out of time. Let's go over your stats. Me and Don both joined Todd Homes by Team Straw 60 days ago, something like that.
Yeah.
And yes, me and you, just being around each other, being around Todd, being around the training. Now, Don's on Tom's team. I'm not on Todd's team. I have my own team. But being in that atmosphere causes growth. You cannot but grow. If you're not growing, that means you're not coming in the office or reading anything. So just in the time that you've been with Todd, using this system, what's your stats? What have you done?
So in the last 60 days, I've got one home that's sold. I have another one that's pending right now. We're under contract on that home within about 4 days. The other home that sold that sold in about 3 days as well. And then I have two that just went live on the market within the less than a week. And then I also have I have two that are pending. So I've a total of about seven listings that I've done in the last 60 days.
So who would like 7 listings in 60 days? I know I would. That's 3.5 a month. That is huge. 7 listings in 60 days. That speaks volume on.
Just to give you some sort of perspective, I've been doing this since probably March. So I went March, April, May, June, and I had 2 deals. I had 2 deals within that time period of about 4 months, and then joining Todd, like I said, I didn't really change anything that I've been doing, except I was able to expand some of my resources, some of the services that I'm able to offer, and get that support. But, what my day-to-day has still been the same. But just, getting in that team aspect and some of those resources. And like you said, surrounding yourself with, people that are of similar like mind of, trying to get better every day. And, bring that value to those clients it's done nothing but make me better. And I think the stats that I've gotten over the last couple of months reflects that.
100%. Well, Don, I want to thank you for coming on. We will put Don's information, the office's information. If there's any agents out there that are interested in coming to hear about what Don is doing, what I'm doing, please hit us up. We do have agent training we have training in the office for any agent, anybody, any other agents. You don't have to be with EXP. And we really try to help you find out where you are, where you want to go. But each class is either cold calling or talking about what Don's talking about, FSBOs, or how to be a better listing agent, how to be a better buyer agent. What can you do on Facebook? So we do a lot of stuff. There's a group that also we have, 10X Tribe. It's a group that me, Todd, and the office has. So Don, I just want to thank you for coming on. Kind of last minute. I know I threw it at you.
Yeah, man.
You did a great job. Don't stop what you're doing. And guys, if there's anybody out there interested in trying to duplicate that, 7 listings in 60 days, I've been with Todd and I'm at 4 listings. I think I'm at 8 deals, eight things under contract, but that's 4 and 4, half and half. I don't have 7 listings. That is huge. Don, keep up the good work. Don't stop. Again, thank you. Jeff of All Trades. See you next week. And Don.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Awesome, brother. Bye.